Hello everybody and welcome back to another Pokemon Emerald video. Today I will be playing through the game with an often forgotten Pokemon introduced in this generation. In fact, I too forgot about it until the professor showed it in a previous video. Today's Pokemon is a Chimecho, a single stage, for now, Pokemon based on a wind chime. The idea and the design are not too bad, but the generic moveset and typing combined with the somewhat rare encounter rate definitely did not help this Pokemon get popular. Let's go over the rules for a second. I can only use my starter in combat, I can't use consumables in battle, I can't raise my evasion in any way, and I can't use cheats or glitches. Chimecho starts off with a pretty bad moveset, having only Rep, one of the worst moves in the game. It takes quite a while to defeat the first Zigzagoon because of the low accuracy and even lower base power, but at the very least I can hit the enemy. I really don't think I stand a chance against May like this, so I leveled a few times before her. I could have went all the way to level 9, where it learns Astonish, another not great move, but I did not feel like grinding more, and luckily it turns out that level 8 Wrap is enough to defeat May. I was expecting her to be a lot more aggressive and attack me often, but thanks to her passive playstyle, we won comfortably. The next obstacle is the Team Aqua guy with the Pochiena in the forest. Much like our rival, this is a kinda long fight because of our extremely low DPS. It also could get ugly since it knows Sand Attack. Fortunately, Rep and Astonish spam with a couple of flinches is enough to defeat this guy, and from here things get a lot better. I can level up a bit more around the next town before having to take on Roxanne. This is very helpful since at level 14 Chimecho learns Confusion, our first stab move. Compared to the attacks that I was previously using, this is a nuke and I can use all this power against the first gym leader. Her first two Geodudes don't stand a chance and are surprisingly a one-shot. I was not expecting that. Nosepass is a bit more tanky, so it does live and takes a few turns to defeat, thanks to berries and potions, but overall this fight was a lot smoother than I was expecting. Next up is the optional May fight. All of her starters are not great against psychic types, so I gave her a Trico since as a Grovyle it knows Pursuit, which is better than nothing, but at this point there is really not much she can do to touch me. Then, since I am super effective on the second gym, I defeated it in order. There is not much to say about this one. Confusion makes quick work of all of his Pokémons except for Meditite, since it is neutral, but given the fact that it can only attack with Focus Punch, if you keep spamming Confusions, everything will be fine. Once we acquired the second badge, we can move on to Slateport, where we meet the Team Aqua Grunt as usual. Here we can see the major weakness of psychic types in this game. I can't use Confusion on the Carvanas so I am forced to go for takedown, which is not great, but since they are very squishy, it gets the job done. This will be kind of a problem throughout most of the game, since Chimecho's move pool is not very wide. Also, it learned Yawn, which could be useful in some scenarios. After stopping them and leveling a little more, I can take on the second mandatory fight with May on the land bridge. This one was a bit more scary because of the previously mentioned Grovile, but the overleveling combined with a decent stab move made the encounter kinda easy, as I can stomp through pretty much all of her team. Next is Watson, and he can be a wall too in many runs. Today is not really the case though. I bought Psychic from the casino, so even if he resists my moves, they will still do a ton of damage. The crit on Magneton was maybe not necessary, but surely made the fight go by even faster. 3 badges down, a bunch more to go. On the way to the next gym, we encounter the two teams arguing in Meteorfall caves, and this leads all the way to the top of the local volcano to put a stop to Max's plans. The fight against him is kinda hard actually, at least compared to what the last few have been. I now have Shockwave to hit dark types, which is good but not very powerful, and unless I can boost it, it will not be able to one-shot them. My Tiena uses Sand Attack, which could be annoying, but with just one, the effects are not felt much, and I can defeat the rest of his team a lot easier. After getting down from the mountain, we can attempt the gym in the next town. This one should be easy too. Flannery does not have any super effective moves on us, and sure, her overheats will hurt, but thanks to my decent special defense, I will be able to endure at least one if not two. Of course, that is assuming they get the turns to use them, considering the tactical warhead that is Psychic. Norman is next, and he could prove a bit more challenging. I am sure that Slacking will leave and might do some damage back. The rest of his Pokémons though are just fodder. Much like with Flannery, they are all one-shotted. Slacking's facade hurts a bit, but I could have lived a crit, so this was effectively another free gym. I am a bit disappointed in the last couple of fights, so I will not be leveling as much from here on. Maybe things will get more challenging then. After obtaining Surf, we can have a quick pit stop in the Weather Institute to liberate them from Shelley's oppression. Yeah, she is a couple of one-shots too. After saving the scientist, we can resume the journey to Portree, only to be stopped again by our rival. May's team is not too bad, but since she has no special tanks, everyone on her team is one-shotted by Psychic. Lombre even wastes time delaying the inevitable with Fake Out. Next up is Winona and her team of flying types. She might have been a challenge if I was lower level or had weaker moves, but as it stands, I can blast my way through most of her team with either Psychic or Shockwave. The only thing that can leave and is sort of problematic is the Altaria because of the immense special defense and setup moves, but it too falls in a couple more attacks than the rest. There is some potion spam to keep it alive, but that can only last for so long. After getting the fly badge, we can make our way to the next town over, where there is the last optional fight against May. Her team is still kinda weak, even if we ignore the random slagma, so I again cannot praise her, but have to limit myself to a simple sweep. Once we are done with her too, we have to go to the Pokemon Tower, where we see Archie speaking with an old lady, and once he leaves, the woman gives us the secret key to enter Team Magma's hideout. Of course, that's our next destination, and after cutting my way through a bunch of Team Magma grunts, I can reach their leader, who unfortunately uses the wrong orb to awaken the ground legendary before our eyes. The fight against Maxi is kinda hard. His Mightyena obviously leaves a shockwave and has time to slow me down, except that he misses. Next he sends out Crobat, and I thought the electric move would be enough, but I was wrong, so I got confused too. Thankfully it only lasts a handful of turns, so we can soon snap out of it and finish the fight. We then head to pretty much do the same thing in the Team Aqua base, but once again we were too late and could only see Archie flee, as we have to fight his second or third in command. He is very easy, but with a dash of luck he was able to make Chimecho bleed. And then it's time for the actually hard fight in the game, Tate and Liza. Thankfully Chimecho can learn Shadow Ball, so of course I can use that to make the fight go by a bit easier, and here is where I took full advantage of Yawn, putting half of their team asleep while I was fighting the other half, sort of turning this back into a 1v1. It also helps that their Pokémons often spend time setting up, which I can mostly ignore since I am using a physical move. Of course, I don't do a lot of damage to them since my attack is not very high, but even though it takes a good number of turns, the fight against them was sort of easy in the end. Of course, they have to sort of ruin it by spamming potions on the last Pokemon standing, but I'm happy to get through them with no resets. This fight gives us the Calm Mind TM, which I am sure you are all aware it's a very powerful move, but maybe because I forgot, maybe because I wanted the game to be more challenging, I did not teach it immediately. Instead, I took on the next fight against the Team Magma without it. Let me tell you, this was not the best of ideas. Sure, it made the fight a bit more challenging, but not interesting, as it just prolonged it. I'm not even sure if their dark types have any stab moves. I think the Mightyenas have Crunch, but I rarely see them using it. This means that I am in no risk of dying, but have to spend a bunch of turns trapped in this fight. At least Metang was quite aggro and spent most of his turns attacking to help me finish this off just a tad bit faster. Once this torture ends, We are given the Dive HM for our troubles, and we can finally resume the main quest by diving to the seafloor cave, where we find Archie about to wake up Kyogre again with the wrong orb. We have a duel to stop him, and while he is still a bit annoying because of the usual Mightyena, the fight is not that hard either. I again clicked the wrong move on Crobat, and this allowed him to deal more damage to me. With the lower speed, even Sharpedo could get a hit off, and all of that combined brought my HP lower than they have ever been in the entire game. Well, now that the legendaries are out of the bag, we have to go find Rayquaza and all of that stuff. While I do that, could you scroll down a little and like and or subscribe, ring the bell, and all of that YouTube stuff? That would be very helpful. Thank you. Now that the cutscene is over, we can take on the last gym. Juan is not going to have a good time though. I can set up once or twice with Calm Mind, and then sweep his entire team, switching moves accordingly as the immune Pokémons come out. To be fair, I don't think I even needed the boost thanks to Chimecho's fast growth rate. I am level 66, which is very high for this point in the game, without having to spend hours grinding. Now that we have the last gym, we can enter the Victory Road, where of course there is Wally waiting for us. We have a fight against him like usual, but this time I set up in front of his face against Altaria, since I know it can't do all that much damage to me, and the later Pokémons can get annoying with status effects and stuff like that. With a single boost, Psychic is enough to sweep pretty much the entirety of his team, except for Gardevoir of course. That Pokémon takes a couple more turns to take down, thanks to potions and good defensive stats. Once Wally's ace is defeated too, I traverse the rest of the cave and eventually emerge in front of the league. Without any further ado, let's jump into it. Our first match is against Sidney. He might be the hardest one considering the typing. I was trying to find a good spot to set up, but could hardly find one. Shiftry and Cacturn are actually kind of a problem, since they resist the only move I can touch them with. This was a bit problematic, since at least Shiftry loves to mess with you. The only saving grace is that even if they set up evasion or lower my accuracy, Shockwave does not care and will always find its target. Ultimately, the fight was kind of tense, but in the end I could get through it without too many issues, and most importantly, no resets. Next up is Pheobe, and you already know how this fight goes. Set up with Calm Mind first turn, pray that Psychic is enough to one-shot her lead the turn after. Spoiler alert, it is. And from here, start blasting. The only thing I have to be careful about is Sableye, since it is a dark type, and for whatever reason, I thought it was a good idea to set up in the middle of the fight. I took a bunch of damage for that, and in the end it was not even necessary, probably. halfway through the Elite Four and barely any scratches. Let's see if this keeps up. Glacia is the third. I thought I could take her down with no calm minds, but after Shockwave did not defeat the first Pokémon, I changed my mind. Because of Stab, it ends up having a bit more power than the electric move, even against water types. It might be a bit boring to have to resort to that every fight, but I don't make the rules, only play the game in a somewhat suboptimal way. Lastly, we have Drake, who is generally the most powerful of the four, unless you have ice moves, but today the fight against him will be kinda easy even without them. I can set up twice against Shelgon, thanks to his Protect, and can remove the speed debuff once. At +2 and with normal speed, I doubt there is anything that can move before me or leave a hit, and that's pretty much how the rest of the fight went. A series of one-shots on his mighty dragons, and that's about it. And in the end, we find the champion Wallace. Do I even need to say anything about this fight? If a strategy works, don't fix it. I lowered Wailord's HP so that Water Spout does not hurt much, and then I started setting up. I did not reach max boost because it unexpectedly decided to go for Double Edge, which hurts, but most importantly caused Wallace to use a full restore on it. I could have kept it up and lowered his HP more with Shadow Ball, but even at +4 I don't think anything can leave my attacks. My hypothesis proves to be correct, as I can sweep through his team with ease and be done with the last fight in no time. Well, color me surprised. I never thought much of Chimecho, and here it is with 0 resets and barely over 3 hours of playtime, beating out the performance of many legendaries. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more, share if you can, and if you have anything to say, feedback, video ideas, or anything else, feel free to leave it in the comments. I'll do my best to respond in a timely manner. See you next week. Bye!